Hey guys, Master Riley here from Trinity Martial Arts, and what we're going to do today in this video is we're going to talk about the belt colors that we use here at our school. We use 5 different belt colors to symbolize rank here at our school, and the 5 colors that we use are used by many traditional Tang Soo Do schools around the world. A little background knowledge first. Your belt is called a D in Korean, and when you get your white belt all the way up through the color belts, those are referred to as gups. Your beginning level, white belt, is 10th gup, and then you slowly work your way down until you get to your last color belt, which would be 1st gup. Then when students receive their black belt, they're referred to as dans. So let's talk about the first belt that we use here at Trinity Martial Arts. This belt is a white belt, and we use white belt to symbolize both 10th and 9th gup. What's interesting about all the different belt colors in traditional Tang Soo Do is they're meant to each represent a season. So white belt obviously represents winter. If you think about the winter, it's cold and empty and the snow is pure white. This represents when you start training that you're an empty vessel, ready to be filled with knowledge. And you're pure. You haven't learned anything yet. You're a blank slate, ready to get started. And so white belt represents the winter. After white belt comes orange belt, which in our school we use for 8th and 7th gup students. The orange belt is interesting because it's the only belt that doesn't represent a season. Originally, orange belt wasn't even one of the traditional colors used in Tang Soo Do. It was added in the 1970s as a way to motivate students. Some students thought that it took too long to get from white belt to green belt, so they added in an extra color to motivate students. The next belt is green belt, which in our school we use to symbolize 6th, 5th, and 4th gups. Green belt represents the next season after winter, which is spring. Obviously, right? Trees start blooming and growing and turn green in the springtime. And this represents you and your martial arts journey beginning to bloom and grow as well. When you receive your green belt, you start really diving into your martial arts training like a flower that starts to bloom, and your movements become more beautiful and more advanced. So that's why the green belt represents spring. After spring comes summer, which is represented by the red belt. We use red belt to symbolize 3rd, 2nd, and 1st gups. And it's a very special belt because it is the last color belt before reaching black belt. Now, I mentioned before that red belt represents summer, and if you think about summer, it is hot, right? That reminds us of the fiery passion you have at red belt as you get ready to test for black belt. We can also, again, look at nature. If you're a farmer in the summer, that's your busy season as your crops grow. So red belt is your busy season as you continue to learn and advance in your techniques. After red belt comes black belt, which I told you is referred to as a dan. Now, black belt represents the fall. Again, going back to the farmer analogy, in the fall, that's the time for harvest, where you take all the crops that you've planted and you bring them inside and prepare them to sell or eat or whatever it is you're gonna do with them. So your black belt is just like that harvest. You take all the years of training that you've done as a gup, as a color belt, and you put forward all your knowledge as you test for your black belt. Now, black belt is interesting because traditionally in Tang Soo Do schools do not use black. They use a very dark blue, sometimes referred to as a midnight blue. I don't know if you can see the difference there. This is actually my belt that I first got when I got black belt because I trained at a school that used midnight blue instead of black. Now, traditionally, black represents perfection, or in the Western culture, it represents the end, right? That's why you wear black to a funeral. But in martial arts, we never believe in perfection. We never believe in the end of our training. We always learn and continue to grow, right? We don't ever reach the end. We're never satisfied with where we are. So that's why some Tang Soo Do schools you'll find wearing midnight blue, because they don't want to use that black that represents perfection or represents the end. They use this to symbolize that they're going to continue training. However, we use black at our school. Nothing wrong with that, but it's good to know the philosophy of both. So we've talked about all 10 gup ranks, and we've talked about black belt, which we use for 1st, 2nd, and 3rd dans. When you reach 4th dan in Tang Soo Do, that's considered the master level, referred to as sabum. And at that rank, you'll see that the black belt has a red line running through it. So if you see someone with a red line through their black belt, it usually means that they're 4th dan or higher. So there you have it, the 5 traditional colors used in the Tang Soo Do belt system. Each of them representing a different season, representing your journey in martial arts. But most importantly, we tell our students that your belt, your D, what you wear around your waist doesn't matter. Belts are great for setting goals for yourself and using them as motivation to continue learning and practicing, but at the end of the day, they're not the most important thing. What's most important is that you're working hard, practicing, and growing and learning. Because just like I said before, the journey is never over. We're always trying to learn more, advance, and improve. So no matter what belt you are, whether it's white or black, it doesn't matter. Keep training hard. Tang Soo.